I would like to call the December 9th, 2021 regular board meeting to order at 6 o'clock p.m. Mr. Tommy Gartrell will lead our invocation. Please stand.
Heavenly Father, thank you for this day and this opportunity to come together and conduct school business. And thank you for this year. Thank you for the many blessings as we head into the holiday season, that we keep all of our families, staff, children safe. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Amen.
Please continue standing as Mr. Steve Smith leads the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. The next item is approval of the agenda. Mr. Young, do you have any amendments to the agenda?
I do not, Madam Chair.
Do I have a motion to approve the agenda as presented?
I'll make the motion.
Second.
Mr. Smith made the motion, Mr. Gartrell seconded. Is there any further discussion? All in favor? The motion carries 5-0. The agenda has been approved. The next item on our list is recognitions. This will be led by Director of Community Engagement, Ms. Destini Shope.
Good evening, members of the board, Mr. Young, and others in attendance this evening. In our school building, staff are sometimes faced with emergency situations. In fact, so far this year, EMS has been called 14 times for things such as reactions to medications, chest pains, and even displaced fractures. Nurse Smith can fill you in if you need to know what that is. Tonight's recognition is being made on behalf of the family of Mikey Latch. As you all know, we have some extraordinary individuals who make up the faculty and staff in our district. Shortly, you will have the opportunity to learn about a few of them. Before I introduce them, I'd like you to think about the meaning of the word hero. What comes to mind? Is it someone in a cape who leaps tall buildings? Is it someone whose name sits at the top of the list as the #1 draft pick? Or maybe your hero is someone who has overcome an illness or some other sort of obstacle. Webster defines a hero as a person who is admired for courage, outstanding achievements, and noble qualities. 31 days ago, on Monday, November 8th, Mikey Latch came to school like he had done many, many times before. But this day would turn out to be anything but a typical day for Mikey and his family. November 8th, 2021, the life of Mikey Latch was literally in the hands of the Hill City Elementary staff. Just before lunch that day, Mikey and his classmates were out on the playground doing what kids do best, playing. When it was time to go inside for lunch, he put on his jacket and suddenly felt the sting of something on his shoulder. He let his teacher know, and as is protocol, he was sent to be checked by the nurse. She contacted his mom, provided Benadryl and an ice pack. Mikey was sent on his way to the lunchroom, which was not too far away. As Mikey entered the lunchroom, one of the lunch monitors, Miss Katie Hudson, noticed that he did not look well. She walked over, engaged him in conversation, and realized he was in distress and immediately escorted him back to the nurse's office. The nurse began to work with Mikey. The office called his mom and asked that she come up to the school. Having experience in the medical field, Mom knew that if the nurse was not calling her, something more must be going on. She gathered his nebulizer and treatment supplies from home, thinking it was his asthma. Mom arrived at school to the nurse's office to find a room full of people with Mikey, and when she saw him face to face, she knew it was not his asthma. That is when the staff of Hill City put their skills and knowledge to immediate action. Mom describes their teamwork as being like a well-oiled machine. Everyone knew what to do and when to do it. As Mom looked at her child in distress, Nurse Melissa was immediately able to administer an emergency EpiPen. By this time, the receptionist, Delane Johnson, had called 911. Administrators were providing support wherever needed, along with Officer England. Staff took care of making phone calls to Mikey's dad and securing the mom's car so she could ride in the ambulance with Mikey. Mikey was soon transported to Piedmont Mountainside, but it didn't take long for Piedmont to know that medicine doses had been maxed out and greater care was needed beyond their scope of service. The doctors were concerned with internal inflammation of Mikey's heart, his lungs, and his airway. He was then transferred to Children's Healthcare in Atlanta. There were no previous indications of any type of allergy to stings or bites. I am thankful to report that Mikey has made a full recovery and was even upset when he could not return to school as quickly as he wanted. He loves school. Doctors at both Piedmont Mountainside and Children's Healthcare of Atlanta have praised the actions of the Hill City staff, indicating that without following their procedures and protocols, being alert to Mikey's distress, and especially the administering of the EpiPen in the moment it was given, the outcome of this day would have looked very different for Mikey and his family. In speaking with Mom, she shared that there is no thank you that could ever be enough for saving her child's life. In speaking with Mrs. Halco and others at Hill City, they say we just did what we needed to do to help him, what we do for every child. As we enter the holiday season, let us be reminded that the smallest of gestures can have the greatest impact on the lives of others. It is truly the small things that make a difference. As educators, we are called to serve others. We often step up to be mothers, fathers, nurses, referees, doctors, lawyers. Whatever a child needs, we are there. So I ask you again, what is a hero? A hero is someone who goes above and beyond, not because they are obligated to, but because that's who they are as a person. They make a choice to do more and to be more. I would consider all of those who answered the call to be an educator a hero. They are willing to stand tall in the face of adversity. They are willing to lend a hand to help others. They are simply willing to do whatever it takes to improve the lives of those entrusted to them. At this time, I would like to invite Mikey to come up, and he is going to present each of these individuals with a gift bag that contains tokens of appreciation from 3 of our business partners, Community Bank of Pickens County, Jasper United Methodist Church, and I Think Financial. So when I call your name, if you will, please come forward and stand and wait for the photo. Miss Katie Hudson. Miss Katie is the lunchroom monitor who recognized Mikey's distress. Nurse Melissa, who administered emergency care, in particular the EpiPen at the right moment. Miss Kelly Proudfoot. Miss Proudfoot is a former teacher of Mikey's who happened to be in the nurse's station, and rather than leaving him, she stayed with him until he left. Miss Dwayne Johnson, she is the receptionist who took care of placing the 911 call and providing information to emergency responders. Officer Kaylin England, she provided support and assisted wherever she was needed during the emergency, including securing Mom's vehicle. Mrs. Jennifer Halco and Mrs. Angela Kretschmar, administrators at Hill City, who provided support and oversaw the entire emergency process. Mom also shared that Mikey's teachers that he had in the current year who were with his classmates in class, they continued to text and call and check on them all throughout the day to make sure that he was okay and that they were as well. In closing, remember this. To the world, you may be just an educator, but to Mikey's family, you are all heroes.
Thank you all very much. What a fantastic story. Thank you so much, everyone. The next item on our agenda is Superintendent Reports.
Thank you, Madam Chair. We will start off our reports this evening with our financials from Miss Amy Smith.
Thank you, Mr. Young, and that is definitely a hard act to follow, and I know everybody always leaves, but that one, that's pretty special. Miss Martha's ahead of the game here, and it's got our report pulled up. Our FY22 general fund update. Patrick. Our revenue collected through the end of November was 55.1% of our budgeted revenue. Our expenditures totaled 31.81% of the approved expenditures in our budget. Our consolidated funds, and keep in mind those are blended funds from federal programs and general fund that help provide some flexibility at the school level. All expenditures are recorded. At this time, we have not made any transfers. We're waiting on a few more approvals to come through before we start our transfers for this year. That does reflect our current activity. Our debt service account, of course, we had no debt. And our SPLOST, Capital Outlay Program. Our SPLOST revenue for November was $623,711.10. That is the 8th consecutive month that we have received over $600,000. That's the first time that has happened in the history of our SPLOST. So we'll keep spending local. We like that. Helps us out quite a bit. Interest earned for the month is $2,900.16. Expenditures totaled $1,193,092.49. Which brought our month-end SPLOST balance to $8,842,739.90. Our special revenue accounts, and I'll just remind you, that includes food service, most all of our federal grants. We do have a couple that are funneling through DOE that are coming up in our 100 fund, but most of them are housed here. We are currently at a 30.82% collection point of our budgeted revenue, and have expended 39.83% of our budgeted expenditures. Don't be alarmed that our expenditures are ahead of our revenue. These are, most of the funds here, you have to spend the money in order to get the revenue from the grants. So this is a normal process. Do y'all have any questions? And that's all I have at this time.
Can I ask a question about an item later on? Or are you going to come back for that, about the, I don't have the agenda right in front of us. The revision to the employee absences?
I can help you cover.
Will you touch on it? So, is that, I know there was multiple things we had to do. Have we got everything cleaned up? Is this the final step in that process?
Yes. What it is we needed to amend the board policy, and we're actually moving the processes into our employee handbook. In fact, Mr. Parker and I, wherever he went, he and I were just talking about the final revisions, because once y'all approve it, as of the next day, it is in place. So we were finalizing the verbiage that will be in the employee handbook. So he will do the updates tomorrow, I believe. He's not listening. Parker, are you going to do the adjustments tomorrow in the handbook?
We can do it this evening after this meeting or tomorrow, whatever you think best.
We'll have that taken care of. But it does change the buyback rate for those sick leave days from $25 per day to $55 per day. But if they need to purchase them back in the future, they will be purchased back at whatever rate they sold them. That is what the procedure is saying.
And typically that occurs at the end of the school year.
We typically do it, they can only do, when they buy days, they can only do it one time. One time per year is when we offer it, but if they ever buy them back, do the reverse, they can only do that one time ever. But it's typically in June when we offer it in May, we pay them in June, but they can sell their days if they choose to.
Thank you.
And it's only certain groups that are allowed to do that, non-TRS.
Right. Thank you. Appreciate your help on that.
Thank you, Amy. Our next report will come from our COO, Mr. Stacy Gilleland.
Seems like we've seen y'all a lot this week. Y'all been up here a lot, and Maintenance is doing a great job with the shorthanded. Toby's still out with his surgery and stuff, but he should be coming back in the next week or so. Be glad to get him back. Been too shorthanded, been two down for a couple of weeks now, but tonight on the PAR, y'all saw we're replacing one, so that'll really help us out a lot too and get things rolling here. We're getting, we should be receiving our CO for the Ag Center at the junior high next week. That means we can occupy the building when we come back from Christmas, so we can start. We have already purchased all the enclosures for the pigs and that go in the barn, the pens. We'll put those in starting after Christmas. So they're sitting in Sackets waiting on us. They stored them for us because they came in down there. The high school ag facility is under construction. I don't know if any of you realize that it's in works now. They've probably hauled 200 loads of dirt out already. We put a retaining wall. I got some pictures I'll show you in just a minute on all that. Transportation, this is the last week we're doing a training class this year. Got two in it, two very interested. I believe it'll be good. We'll be able to get them hired. We also went to some training 2 weeks ago. Federal agencies and the Federal Motor Carrier Agency is getting involved in transportation, which makes it a little bit difficult for us because it's just another hoop we got to jump through to get these people CDL trained. So starting February 22, it's going to be harder to get your CDL, which that's not what we wanted. We wanted it to be easier to get your CDL, but that's not happening. Food service, Beth still says our biggest challenge going on right now, this time of year, this economy and this country right now is shortage of help. And complicate that, we can't get the food in that we want and need, so she's changing menus every day. Same things last month, it's just going on and on. So we ask people to be patient with us. She'll feed you, you'll get everything you need, and it may not be what's on the menu. It went out earlier in the week. Martha, you got this picture? That's the junior high. You can see they've already got the lettering up, which I'm glad. Inside basically finished. They're closing up loose ends, finishing up the electrical panels, just odds and ends. Touch up painting. See, there's not much going on in there now because they're just doing the finish up. They did the final paving today. I went back and took a picture this evening of the final coat of asphalt going down. Looks really good. Beautiful facility. That end piece there, the box on the end, that's our aroma recovery from raising pigs in there. It's a special system that we actually did some research and got some help from some local people and found it out in Wisconsin or somewhere where they raise a lot of hogs, and this is supposed to help the smell and not run the neighborhood. So I hope this works. We're going to use this to high school too on the grow out facility. High school, I just got a few pictures to show you. That's from the parking lot down behind the field house, looking out to where it'll be. Tennis courts will be over to your right. That's up on the hill looking down. You can see they've They've tore it up pretty good. It's gonna be a big area. Another picture there. There's one picture coming up, I think, of the retaining wall. You can see the retaining wall right behind the field house there. That allows the road to come closer to the building and come down and connect, and gives us a little more turnaround room for the big trucks and all that. So they're rolling. We're on our way. Any questions?
Thank you, Stacy. We will, just to carry that on, we will be scheduling as we get into January a ribbon cutting for the PJ facility. And we may on the same day do a groundbreaking for the high school facility. We may just do them both in one day, but more information on that will be coming. That concludes my reports, Madam Chair.
All right, thank you very much. Very exciting news. All right, next on the agenda is action items. Approval of personnel. Do I have a motion to approve the personnel action report as presented?
So moved, Madam Chair.
All right. Mr. Gartrell,
Second.
second by Mr. Smith. Is there any further discussion? All in favor? 5-0. PAR is approved as presented. The next item is approval of financial reports. Do I have a motion to approve the financial reports Ms. Smith presented?
So moved.
Mr. Green made the motion.
I'll second.
Mr. Holland seconded the motion. Is there any further discussion? All in favor? 5-0. The motion carries unanimously. The next item is approval of revision to policy GARH, which is employee leaves and absences. Mr. Young, I believe this policy was placed out for public comment last month at our regular board meeting. Have we had any public input on this policy?
We have not, Madam Chair.
Do I have a motion to approve the revision of policy GARH, employee leaves and absences, which has been out for public review since November 11th, 2021, as presented?
I'll make that motion.
All right, was Mr. Green?
I'll second.
Mr. Green made the motion, Mr. Holland seconded. Is there any further discussion? All in favor? 5-0. Motion passes unanimously. The next item is a request for approval of memorandums of understanding. The first one is a memorandum of understanding with Augusta University. The second one is a memorandum of understanding with Thomas University. Do I have a motion to approve these MOUs with both Augusta University and Thomas University?
So moved.
Mr. Gartrell made that motion. Do I hear a second?
Second.
Mr. Smith seconded that motion. Is there any further discussion? All in favor? 5-0. Motion passes unanimously. The next item is the approval of January 13th, 2022 for the regular monthly meeting and a called meeting. Do I have a motion to approve January 13th, 2022 as the date for the regular monthly meeting at 6 p.m. and a called meeting at 5 p.m.? Do I hear a motion for that?
So moved.
Mr. Green made that motion. Do I hear a second?
Second.
Mr. Smith seconded that motion. Is there any further discussion? All in favor? 5-0. The motion passes unanimously. The next item is the approval of a service agreement with Pickens Urgent Care. Mr. Young, do you have some information for us on this agreement?
I do, Madam Chair. We are very excited this evening to bring this service agreement before the board for approval. Our Director of Health Services, Ms. Gail Smith, has been diligently working on this for probably over a year now altogether. A tremendous amount of effort has gone into this, and I thought it would be appropriate for Nurse Smith to come up and if she would, tell us a little bit more about it, since she has put so much effort in, and I see Ms. Jamie is here as well, who was also a critical part of making this happen. I want to thank Jamie for her efforts as well. But Nurse Smith, if you could share a little more information about what this is going to look like.
Yes, and thank you so much. I really appreciate all of your concern for child health and helping to remove barriers to learning. And so beside me tonight is Ms. Jamie Beck, and she'll be serving as the liaison between Pickens County School District and Pickens Primary and Urgent Care. So a little bit about the collaboration, what it looks like. The services that they will be providing, and Jamie can speak further to this, that will most especially be helpful for our families is flu testing, strep test, RSV test, which we're seeing an increase in, and COVID testing. COVID testing, they can test rapid or PCR, and so no more trying to find those test sites or having to wait to be tested. The mobile diagnostic van will roll right up to the school and be able to test our kids and staff and allow them to return to school if negative. So one thing I really appreciate about the Pickens County School District is the concern to keep kids in school as safely as possible. We hear from our families the hardship that it brings upon them to have to get off work to come pick up their children from school. And this is a strategy to help in so many different ways. Not only to care for the kids and give them the care that they need and our staff, and remove those barriers to learning to help keep them in school, to keep them in the classroom, and to keep our hand on community wellness and promoting that health and well-being. It also is very money-saving. There's really no way to count the financial benefits of a collaboration like this, where families are being able to stay at work, and therefore it's really increasing the livelihood. So the benefit of this is just monumental. So I want to thank you for reviewing the MOU and considering approval. Some data that drives this decision tonight is, so far this school year, we've had just over 6,000 acute illness visits to the school clinics, meaning something that is presenting right here, right now. It's not a chronic problem. It's not getting a medication. It is, I don't feel well. So just over 6,000 this school year. I did a survey with the nurses, and I see Nurse Melissa has left, but I asked them last month and this month, how many referrals do you anticipate making to Pickens Primary and Urgent Care? And it's averaging about 10 to 15 a day, district-wide, which is manageable as a rollout. And so another very important number, and I shared this with you in a previous board meeting, is the number of kids that we look at returning to class. We want to keep that number between 93 and 95%. And with COVID, we're currently better than we were last month. We currently are at 91%, which is good, but it's not great. So this collaboration will help, like I said, get those kids back to school, but get that number back up to a more acceptable level. So some of the logistics to just run and share with you is the operating hours would be all during school hours. We will initially start between 8 a.m. and 4 p.m. and adjust as needed, but Monday through Friday. And let me reiterate, it's for students and staff both. The flow, how will it look from day to day? So the child who is in school and sick, they will still go to the school nurse. The school nurse will assess the child and then call the parent. Call the parent and let them know if they're recommending a referral to our partner here, or the parent can still continue to choose to take the child home. So that call to the parent is made, and then if the parent chooses for their child to be seen, the diagnostic mobile van will come up, the medical assistant will come into the school clinic, so the child never goes out into the parking lot or goes outdoors. And then The medical assistant will connect through telehealth equipment to the nurse practitioner back at the office if need be. If the child is contagious, of course, they still continue to go home. If they're found to not be contagious, they can return to school. And I can't tell you how many times there are students who, you know, the nurses, we're there to be a support and provide care, but we can't make a diagnosis, where our healthcare partner here can. And so they can determine whether it's pink eye or an allergy. And if it's, you know, allergy not contagious, they can go back to class. Other things that they'll be able to treat and that the nurses were saying that they would likely do referrals for are fevers and cough, strep throat, low-grade fever, which is below our protocol of 100 or higher, you go home. So a low-grade fever with multiple symptoms, severe nosebleeds, head injuries, earaches, just to name a few. So you may be wondering about the cost, as that might be a question that many have. And Pickens Primary and Urgent Care do take all commercial plans as well as Medicaid and CMOs. The parents are responsible for the copay or staff. And if a child does not have insurance, a sliding scale fee will be based on income. And if a student does not have insurance, then they can call the school's nurse and will help you. The school nurse will talk through the families to make sure that the child gets the care that they need, even if they're in a hardship situation. And so I've mentioned some of the advantages. Next steps, if approved, registration packets can go home to parents next week, and then service can begin as soon as January 4th when students return from the holiday. So, is there anything you'd like to add or say?
No,
Jamie?
we are very excited to have this opportunity. There's not another public school in the state of Georgia that offers this service. It's been a pleasure working with Gail and Destini and Mr. Young, and we are very, very excited to offer this, especially at an opportunity where we can send those children and students back to class for an ear infection. We are excited, and I have the mobile unit with me if anybody would like to take a tour after our meeting. Do you have any questions for me? Okay.
And I just want to conclude by saying what a pleasure it has been to have talks and discussions with our healthcare partner here. And we did reach out to multiple partners, and I can say this about Pickens Primary and Urgent Cares: they have a genuine concern for the well-being of the kids, and they want to make a contribution to the community. And so we'd be honored to partner with them in this initiative. So thank you for your time.
So, to be clear, there's no cost to the system for this.
There is no cost to the system.
Thank you.
Well, I know this didn't happen quickly or easily, and I appreciate your efforts very, very much.
Thank you.
Thank you, Jamie. Thank you, Nurse Smith. I think just for the convenience that will be available to the parents at this point, especially if, knock on wood, that it doesn't happen, but if COVID does return with a vengeance, this will make the testing process much easier on parents. So, based on the information that's been shared with us this evening, Madam Chair, I would ask for board approval of this service agreement this evening.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Young. Do I have a motion to approve the proposed school-based telemedicine service agreement with Pickens Urgent Care, LLC, as presented?
I'll make the motion.
I'll second.
Mr. Smith made the motion. Mr. Gartrell seconded. Is there any further discussion?
Madam Chair, I think this demonstrates clearly our commitment to the kids, and anytime that a parent doesn't have to leave work to see that a child receives quality care, it's a savings and a benefit to everyone involved. I
Absolutely.
applaud this effort.
I agree. Anyone else? All right, all in favor? 5-0, the motion passes unanimously. Thank you very, very much. We are very grateful. All right, the next item is approval of minutes. Do I have a motion to approve the minutes from the November 11th, 2021 call meeting, the 5:00 p.m. meeting, and the November 11th, 2021 regular meeting at 6 p.m.?
I'll make that motion.
All right.
I'll second it.
All right, Mr. Green made the motion, Mr. Holland seconded. Is there any further discussion? All in favor? 5-0, the motion carries unanimously. The next item is approval of surplus. Do I have a motion to approve the surplus submitted by the Special Education Department?
I'll make a motion.
Okay, Mr. Holland made that motion.
I'll second.
Mr. Green seconded that motion. Is there any further discussion? All in favor? 5-0, motion carries unanimously. Mr. Young, have we received any requests for public participation at this board meeting?
We have not, Madam Chair.
All right, thank you. As we come to board comments, I would like to wish you all a very Merry Christmas. I think I can say that on behalf of the board, but the other board members might have something they would like to add to that.
I would like to wish everybody a very, very safe and happy Christmas and a happy New Year as well.
Yes. We will see you next year. Do I have a motion to adjourn this meeting?
I'll make the motion.
Second.
Mr. Smith, Mr. Gartrell, any further discussion? All in favor, gentlemen? The motion carries unanimously, 5-0. We are adjourned at 6:36 p.m.